Paul Ratliff.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Throwdown Thursday here on the Fan Sports Network. We are loaded today. We absolutely are packed today, and the guests are going to start rolling in today. Yesterday, about 11 o'clock a.m., you started having some people start putting some reports on social media, and about 2 o'clock, it became official that Utah Tech was going to accept an invite and go to the Big Sky Conference in 14 sports, basically. And that's exciting news. Paulie can attest to this. I've been saying the Big Sky just makes too much sense for a long time. So we've got Ken Beazer, athletic director, joining us live in studio. He represents Utah Tech. He's been behind the scenes working on this for how long, Ken? How long has this been in motion leading up to yesterday's big announcement for Utah Tech?
Well, you mentioned motion, and you're going to have to go back a year or so, and that's the NCAA and all the conference realignment that's going on as different dominoes have begin to fall at the larger conferences that have had a trickle-down effect, which affected the WAC, as we know. And it's been going on for over a year. If you look at the WAC as of today, 3 years ago, it lost 15 teams. And it goes from really one of the premier men's basketball leagues in the country, number 11 at one time.
Yeah.
And, you lose all 15 teams over a 3-year span of time. So to your question, this has been going on. The trickle-down has been going on for a while. The actual culmination with the Big Sky actually was a lot less than that. In fact, it really came to a head within 48 hours.
48 hours. How many phone calls for you? How much sleep for you in the last 48 hours?
Well, the last 48 hours has been a little bit intense, but it's been going on for a long time. A long time with, you just don't know. The volatility of the conferences, particularly the WAC. I was telling people clear back in January, I said the WAC could be gone tomorrow. We could be in the Pac-12 tomorrow. That's just how crazy things were going. So not a lot of phone calls. I shouldn't say that. There are a lot of phone calls, but you're working the lines and relationships all along.
That's right. And Ken, wanted to ask you, you talk about the volatility, the stability of the conference. Since 21-22, Chicago State leaves to the NEC, Lamar back to the Summit League, Sam Houston and New Mexico State to Conference USA, GCU to the Mountain West, UTRGV and Stephen F. Austin to Summit League. So many teams have moved. Yeah. You said you had an inclination, it was probably a year ago, that you felt that it would dissolve eventually. But when did you have like the 100% like this was going to happen? Like when did you feel as if that there was going to be major dominoes and shift?
You go back, you mentioned that Grand Canyon going to the Mountain West. You forget they had, a donut in the West Coast Conference there for a couple months. They actually went to the West Coast Conference first and then switched to the Mountain West Conference. So, as we talk about the volatility, I've had great faith and confidence in the WAC all along. In fact, I kept telling teams when conferences would reach out to me, I'd say, hey, the best option for Utah Tech is a strong WAC. We really thought we had some good relationships there. Really liked the WAC conference office and the people who worked with there. But it was January. You could start seeing some things, but you thought, okay, we're still in a good position. We can maybe poach some institutions from some other conferences. Let's expand our footprint a little bit. We lost Seattle. Okay, that's actually kind of good for some of the teams in Texas because they don't have to go to Seattle. So let's grab some teams in that region. But it was probably January when I reached out to the conference commissioner, the interim commissioner of the WAC, and I said, look, I've always been honest and upfront with you, but I've got to look at our interests, and I'm a little concerned about the WAC. And so I said, I'm going to start reaching out to some conferences. So that was in January, and you have some initial conversations, and it just goes on. You try to position your institution on what you bring to these conferences and their sport offerings. But truly we made our first overture to the Big Sky back in January. And then in March, they basically told us, hey, thanks, but no thanks. I mean, we know who you guys are. Don't call us, we'll call you. Kind of a type of situation. But it really wasn't until kind of the biggest surprise in this conference realignment scenario when Sacramento State left the Big Sky. And when Sacramento State left the Big Sky, it opened up, the option for the Big Sky presidents and commissioner to say, okay, let's look at, do we need to expand? Do we need to enhance our membership? and that's what opened it up. And then it escalated, and literally it was. I hear you got the commissioner.
I got the commissioner coming on.
Commissioner Wistersill. I don't know how much detail. Which, by the way, the Big Sky program is as stable as it is because of his leadership and also the president's, and that's what's really intriguing. But Paulie, your question, it's probably all started to become a possibility, not even a reality, a possibility the past week and a half, and then a reality in the past 48 hours. And it was that fast. It was that fast.
Amazing.
It was a phone call. I mean, there were some rumblings last Friday. We had some meetings, and then boom. I mean, it came.
The offer came down.
It came Tuesday, and you've got 24 hours to sign this offer, or we're moving on to somebody else.
Wow.
Is basically what it was.
This works great in all sports except for soccer and baseball. We're going to get to that. But before I do that, Ken Beazer, athletic director, Utah Tech, with the news yesterday coming, they are going to the Big Sky Conference. Utah Tech will finish this final season, the 25-26 season in the WAC, and then it'll be the 26-27 season. But vision, strategic fit, like what were the words, what were the phrases that the conference used that ultimately just kind of sealed the deal? And why the Big Sky over the Summit League or the Big West or another conference, Ken?
In this era of things that don't make sense in NCAA, this makes sense. There is nothing about this move, this merger, this relationship, partnership, if you want, with the Big Sky that doesn't make sense.
Agreed.
You look at it, the majority of our games are going to be in the same time zone. I mean, with football and the WAC, our sports were playing in conference games in all 4 time zones. I mean, with football in the UAC going back to Georgia, with Cal Baptist being in the WAC, this one you look at, you really look at the dots on the schools. The 11 schools now that are in the Big Sky, it looks like I-15. And so our kids now are going to be getting home much earlier. The road trips are going to be less, the stress on them. So in an era where things don't make sense, we are now partnering with institutions of like-minded visions and identity and who we are as an institution overall, but also as an athletic department. And they're stable. You look at it, they still have 5 of the original charter members in this conference.
Amazing.
From 1963. And it truly is, with the success this conference has had and the stability they've had, it truly is leadership. And when I say leadership, I'm not talking about just conference. It's presidential. Conferences are presidential-led. And so these presidents understand who they are, and it's important for them to make sure they have people come in that represent who they are and kind of mirror their aspirations.
I've been to Northern Arizona. I've been to Greeley in Northern Colorado. I've been to a football game in Eastern Washington. I've been to Montana State in Bozeman. I've been to Montana. I've been to a lot of these venues. This is a great they love their football in the Big Sky. In fact, 5 teams made the playoffs. We saw Montana State in the national championship.
Right.
And Ken, you scheduled Montana State as our leadoff game last year, and actually we played them fairly tough. I know we ended up losing 31-7, but we were in that game for a long time.
We were 15-1 team.
So we played the championship.
It was until that was the first time I really saw touchdown Tommy up close. I mean, when he broke that one, I think it was 70 yards up the middle, and it easily removed the angles from our safeties. This guy's special, and here he is with the Raiders down the road here. So a good player. No, this is a strong football conference, arguably the top football conference, top to bottom. In the FCS.
But I watched the Big Sky Basketball Conference tournament, and Montana got in, and they got the bid in the NCAA tournament, and that was a good team. That was a gritty team. They had some talented players. This is not a bad basketball conference either.
Not at all. They had a good year this last year. And again, top to bottom, I think that the Big Sky Conference in basketball as well is as strong as you're going to get. It's good. It fits us. This literally is a fit. And really, the opportunities for us to go into this conference and maintain the rivalry that's evolved with SUU is special.
And we replaced UVU with Weber State, so we still have 3 in-state teams, which makes it fun for the rivalries. We don't really lose anything there.
No, not at all. You don't lose anything. And furthermore, talking with Jared Sumption, the AD at Utah Valley, we're going to schedule him every year. I mean, so this is just a win all around. Truly, this is one of the things. I heard you talking about the NBA draft and what draft picks made sense. Some draft picks just really make sense. This makes sense. It makes sense for the NCAA. It makes sense for the Big Sky. and it makes sense. I'm thrilled for the community. I mean, really, this community is going to experience a fan base coming in here with every team we play. It's not just Montana State. Everybody travels really well.
Yeah.
We recruit the same kids.
That's what I was going to ask you, too, is the recruiting. What's the instantaneous feedback from the coaches as far as recruiting? I'm sure that not a lot changed today, but over the next coming weeks and months, things will change a little bit.
Yeah, well, the coaches are all thrilled. The coaches are all thrilled.
Even Lexi Brown and Chris Paytenauer?
Oh, look, Lexi Brown is ecstatic. she's ecstatic. And, you know, we'll talk about Coach Paytenauer here in a little bit, I'm sure. But, you know, Coach Anderson came into my office yesterday, and he goes, this is huge. He said, even the fact that Cal Poly football only is in the conference, he said, that opens up the door for us in Southern California.
The footprint, yeah.
Yeah, he goes, he says, we recruit a lot of kids out of Southern California, and he says, we haven't played a game down there, which is true. I look back and go, yeah, okay, well, we haven't. So this really legitimizes our recruiting.
It really
down there.
doesn't
It gives kids their chances for their families to see them play in a venue that they wouldn't have had in the WAC.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, Southern California is not a long trip for the parents of the kids to come up and watch us play here. But they're not going to Georgia. They're not going to Tennessee. They're not going to Kentucky.
Yeah.
Those were our road trips. They're not going to Texas. Yeah, they'll hit Cal Poly. Hey, and they're going to hit SUU. And, hey, just drive another couple hours, you hit Weber State. I mean, it's really great.
It really makes too much sense, like you keep saying, and I've been saying for a while now, because really you take the non-conference games, you were already scheduling a lot of Big Sky schools, and now you just move those to conference games. Is it going to be easy or hard to schedule non-conference games now, Ken, in the future? Specifically speaking, football, that's the big scheduling obstacle out there with people scheduling through 2032 right now.
Yeah, we're scheduled out through 32. We really are. And so this kind of blows up our schedule because our schedule is peppered with Big Sky teams over the next 4 to 5 years. And so now they become conference games. So now they come out of our non-conference schedule into the conference schedule. So that may or may not open up some holes we need to fill. Football-wise, it helps us more than anything else. It helps us because we're going to have 4 to 5 home games already built into the schedule every year through your conference schedule. With that, the other scheduling, now you look at it, 11 teams. I was talking with Coach Judkins yesterday as well. I go, you have 20 games already guaranteed. You have 20 games, conference games, 10 of those are at home. It is so hard to get Division I teams to come in here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. You either have to pay them a lot of money or piggyback it on a game with SUU or somebody else that they can make it worth their while to come up in. So John was all smiles yesterday about that. But, you know, let's get to, you know, the elephant in the room, what's going to happen with men's soccer and baseball, because they don't have a home in the Big Sky.
Right.
And so, you know, as soon as, even before, when it looked earlier this week, like on Monday, when it looked like a possibility that the Big Sky was a reality. You know, I'm on the phone working conferences for baseball and men's soccer and talking with them. And yesterday, the announcement hadn't even hit officially yesterday, and I had 2 commissioners reach out to me and say, what are you doing with men's soccer? What are you doing with baseball? And so I'm quite confident we're going to actually land probably in a better situation than we have been, but still, it's a little uncertainty, and the coaches are like, okay, hey, what about us right now? You see a lot of sports being dropped out there. And
well, there's really 5 options for baseball, right? You've got the Pac-12, which is a long shot. You've got the Mountain West, which is probably a long shot as well. Then you got the Big West, the Summit League, and the Big West. Would those be the 5 options that would be feasible to consider?
Those are the ones you look at initially. You know, the Big West just went to 12 teams. A really solid baseball conference. You have to look at yourself and honestly say, probably not a great option right there. They're pretty solid. But everybody's waiting to see what happens with the mitigation between the Mountain West and the Pac-12 and how that money shakes out. And we should know mid-July. Of course, we've been saying that for 2 months. But once that happens, you're going to see if there's some more shakeout in the Mountain West Conference and the Pac-12. Ironically, as it stands right now, the Mountain West Conference currently has more baseball playing institutions than the Pac-12. The Mountain West right now is sitting at 8.
Gotcha.
And that's a pretty good conference. Right there,
but they don't have football with Gonzaga, and they don't have football with. They're missing some football.
Oh, they're missing some football, but I'm talking baseball.
Yeah, baseball.
As we're looking baseball, you know, there's some possibilities there. Ironically, the Pac-12. I mean, they're the ones that are looking for schools,
Right.
For baseball. Now,
Well, and they got to find a football charter member to be playoff eligible by the end of the month.
they got to see how much you're gonna. I truly think you're gonna hear some
Something over the
announcements
weekend.
here before June 30th.
Yeah. Texas State's a lot of smoke there.
Yeah, it's a lot of smoke there.
Yep. Ken Beazer, Utah Tech to the Big Sky. One more year in the WAC. It'll be the final hurrah. What was the WAC's reaction when you guys and SUU said goodbye to the WAC?
Well,
I mean,
we actually have an AD call at the WAC 2:00 this afternoon. As all the ADs are going to be on our monthly. We have a regular scheduled monthly meeting. Actually, we postponed it yesterday to move it to today for obvious reasons. The WAC is good. The WAC, you probably saw that the other three Texas schools have already, and they had that. They already had that lined up.
Yeah.
They had that queued up. In fact, it was a week ago. I thought we were truly a week ago. I thought we weren't going to be without a conference because things just weren't shaking. The other Texas, I mean, the WAC schools, the Texas schools had some options we didn't have, and then wham bang, we announced and they announced. And what's really sad is the WAC going away.
Yeah.
I mean that's the equity in the WAC in the Mountain West region is huge because everybody grew up with the WAC.
Yeah.
I mean, you go up and you
every
look
Utah
at the
team has played in the WAC at some point in time.
Yeah, and it just went out with a whimper on June 25th.
Yeah.
We blame the Pac-12. Blame USC, Oregon, UCLA, Arizona State. That's where the trickle down started.
I mean, it started there.
Yeah. Ken Beazer, everybody. So, can you give us, if you had your choice today, where baseball, men's soccer would go, it would be to blank conference?
Yeah, I can't say.
Okay.
I mean, I can't say because inevitably,
it sounds like we have an offer. There's conversations already
got
going.
options. Yeah, you have options. It's just everybody's waiting to see what's going to happen.
You don't seem too concerned about it. You think it's going to work out.
I've got a really good poker face.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But I'm pretty confident.
Okay, good.
All right.
Yep.
Good. I like to hear that.
Yeah.
I like that. Ken Beazer, everybody. What's on the docket for you today?
A lot more interviews, but I've got probably about 150 emails I haven't even looked at, so I'm going to try and get back to
through
that.
those,
but yeah,
right?
It's
Do you get a family vacation next month?
just ironically, this is a sore spot right now, and I'm sure my wife is listening out there right now. But she's traveling up north by herself right now because I was supposed to be in the car with her, but.
Yeah,
anyway.
I thought we were going to do a phone interview with you on the road to Salt Lake.
So anyway, no, she's awesome. She's so awesome. But she's the one last night. She said you need to be here in town, and I do. We've got a lot going on.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for carving out some minutes for us. Exciting news. I talked to 10 or 15 big-time Utah Tech people and supporters and alumni yesterday, and not one of them was not excited. Everybody was through the roof thrilled that this was going to happen.
Same. Every response I have had is just wow.
Yeah.
This is awesome. It's a great thing for the community to. I mean, really, it's a community campus thing, and the community actually sold a lot of people.
It's going to be fun.
Yep.
The Big Sky on the horizon. In the meantime, this season will stay status quo, UAC for football, WAC for all other sports, and Ken Beazer will keep an ear to the ground. We'll have you back on again. Keep us in the loop with the baseball and the men's soccer as you guys develop that when you're ready to announce. We'd love to have you back.
You know you're my first call.
All right, love it. Ken
Here's
Beazer.
Steve's.
And of course, you can hear all the Utah Tech games all season long right here on the Fan Sports Network. We'll have the entire football slate, the entire men's basketball slate right here on the Fan. It's not too far away from football. I mean, we're what, 60 days away from football?
Yep.
Yeah. Good stuff. Ken Beazer, everybody. Utah Tech to the Big Sky. We got to take a break. We'll get back to the NBA draft, but we will circle back to this topic a little bit later. Right at 8 o'clock, Big Sky Commissioner will be on the show. Also, a SUU perspective, because they're going back to the conference, the Big Sky Conference. Todd Brown is going to jump on with this. Their AD just resigned a week ago, so Todd Brown is going to jump on with this. We'll get his take on what their decision was to go back and forth. And I'm sure Utah Tech and SUU, the rivalry stays the same. You stay in the same conference. I think folks in Cedar and St. George should be excited about that.
Absolutely. It is a big win for Southern Utah.
Got to take the break. Back in a flash. This is Drive. Good morning.